Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I show you the plants I'm planning to overwinter. So let's go. During the coldest parts of the winter months, my garage stays about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It does not freeze, and it's a perfect place for me to overwinter many plants. I love overwintering lots of different plants, and this year I'm going to be experimenting with a few. So I'm going to take you in for a closer look to show you what I'm planning to overwinter. Some plants that I'll be overwintering that are new to me are the Hibiscus as well as the Dipladenia. Now, both of these plants are not hardy here in my zone, and I'll be interested to see if I can overwinter them successfully in the garage. None of the plants on this rolling cart will be receiving any natural grow lights. They're just going to receive a little tiny bit of sunlight that comes into the windows in the garage, but not a lot of light. So really, most plants will be dormant. I have a lavender here that I bought actually 2 years ago. I bought it on clearance. I never got it in the ground, so that's going to be overwintered. I have many pots of this plant. This is a ligularia, and I overwintered this successfully last year in the garage. So I went ahead and divided it into many pots, and this is just one of them. I have a whole tray here of this succulent. I received this from my daughter. She got it from college, and I was able to divide it into a bunch of pieces. And so since it overwintered successfully in the garage last year, I'll be doing it again. But my goal for next season is to make a really cute succulent arrangement that I can do together with you. I received a bunch of SunPatiens from a few friends of mine. I have no idea if they're going to overwinter, but I went ahead and I divided them up, I potted them, and so we'll have to see how they do over the winter months. My friend gave me a bunch of indoor plants. I'm not going to bring them indoors. I went ahead, I divided them, and I just potted them up. And I'm not even sure what the names of these plants are, but they're really cute and sweet. We have more New Guinea Impatiens and then more houseplants. What I tried to do was I tried to alternate taller plants and then shorter plants. That way that there's a little bit of room and that the plants can breathe. I successfully overwintered this plant last year, and this is a trailing vinca plant, and it's not hardy here where I live, but it's so easy to propagate from cuttings. So I have a whole bunch here. We see repeating plants here, more of the SunPatiens and more of the trailing vinca. You remember the Dipladenia and the Hibiscus I showed you earlier? They were in a pot that I received on clearance at the end of the season. Also in that pot was this plant right here. I don't know the name of it. It almost looks like a banana plant. It probably should be a house plant, but I'm going to try to overwinter it in the garage, and I was able to successfully divide it actually into two plants. This plant right here I received from my sister-in-law, and it was in a container pot, so I went ahead and I just potted it up. If I can overwinter this, I can easily take cuttings and create more of this plant. Well, I'm doing an experiment this year. I'm definitely overwintering geraniums bare root like I have in previous years. In fact, I made a video on that. I'll pop it down in the description below. But I also have these other geraniums that I received on clearance at the end of the season. I picked them up, I potted them up, and I've cleaned them up. I have been coming in and I've been pulling off blooms, but they've continued to bloom for me, and that's quite fine. But what will eventually happen is they will drop their leaves and they will go dormant. Here's another sweet potato vine or Ipomea that I got from my sister-in-law, and I was able to divide it down into single pieces. I would be thrilled if even only one plant survived, and if more than one plant survived, that's a bonus. But there's a whole tray of them here, and then I can easily take cuttings off of them if they do survive. These plants are looking a little sad, but they are still alive. These are miniature or short eggplants that I had started from seed, and I'm experimenting with trying to overwinter eggplant in the garage. And then I also, right behind it, have a bunch of Dusty Miller. And I've been successful in previous years with overwintering the Dusty Miller, so I'll be doing that again. I love growing this Coleus from seed, but I was interested to see, can I overwinter it in the garage? So I just kept one plant, and let's see if I can overwinter that. Otherwise, in the rest of this tray are plants that we've already talked about. In this tray, we have lemongrass. I got this from a friend of mine, so I went ahead and I've divided it down, and I've potted them up. And even though I cut them back, they are putting on new growth. We have some more plants that we've talked about. Although in the back there, That's a tropical begonia, and I overwintered it in my garage last year, so I'll be overwintering that same plant again this year. And I'm planning on taking cuttings from it so that I can have more of that plant. And we'll continue on with more of the same plants that you've already seen. Here's a good example of a plant that definitely does not need any water. Notice that the soil is dark. And when it comes to these plants, on these days right now, we're having some warm weather. I could give them a little bit of water, but during the winter months, the key will be to take my finger and feel about 1 to 2 inches deep into the soil. And if it feels dry by putting the finger in, then I can give it a very, very small drink of water. And that will only be once a month. Otherwise, I won't be giving hardly any water to these plants as the weather cools down. These sticks over here, these are more SunPatiens. They're a white color. So I received them from a different friend of mine, and they had already been hit by a slight frost. So they're looking a little sad. So we'll see what happens with those. And then right next to it, these are a bunch of different types of petunias. And they don't look so great. They do look a little dry, but if I go like this, I can tell that there is water in there. I think they just need to recover. And if not, that's okay because all of these plants were pretty much free to me. We have more of the same plants here. And then this plant, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I received it from a friend of mine. And it has a yellow flower. It looks almost like a yellow daisy. And even though all these pots that you see here say proven winners, the plants aren't necessarily proven winner plants, but the pots do come in handy for situations like this. My friend had a purple colored salvia. It's a shorter variety, an annual. So I am trying to overwinter those. And then we have some peppers that I'm going to try to overwinter in the garage. And you can see I need to harvest these peppers. Do you remember when we started these peppers from seed? They're called taquito, and they're very sweet. So I just need to come in and harvest them. But I am going to try to overwinter those. And then I also have some more house plants that are kind of like succulents that I received from my friend. And then last but not least, these are all lavender that I started from seed during the last winter months. And I don't feel comfortable putting them in the ground, so I'm going to overwinter them in the garage. I don't dare cut them back, but definitely in the springtime, I'll be cutting them back nice and hard. We're still having some nice days, so during these nice days, I pull out the rolling cart. But definitely at night when it's cold, the cart goes into my garage. And during the coldest parts of the winter, unfortunately, these plants will not be coming out. But that's okay because they will be happy where they are. And then in the spring, as the days get warmer again, the plants will be coming back out again. Now, the key is during the winter months, I will not be giving these plants much water. They're going to get the smallest drink of water about once a month. And the reason is if I give them too much water, they're apt to rot out. I'd love to know, are you planning on overwintering anything? If so, drop a comment down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. I'll be sure to give updates on a monthly basis on how the plants are doing. Until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.